Hi, my name is Seth Berger. I'm an engineering manager here on the dynamic analysis team at GitLab. Thanks so much for your interest in this role. I want to take a couple minutes and share a couple things with you. First, I wanted to share with you what is DAST, where does it fit in into GitLab. Two, some things to look at prior to your interview. And then third, give you a little bit of an insight as to what daily life is like working at GitLab. So first of all, if you're interested in this role, I want to make sure everyone knows that an experience in a dynamic analysis software is not a requirement. In fact, even experience using or writing security software is not a requirement. We're really looking for solid engineers that have a background in particular technologies, in particular Go, Python, and most importantly, Ruby on Rails. So let me share with you my screen, and we can walk through a little bit about our product line here. So this is the GitLab product line here. We've broken it up into a variety of stages that correspond with the DevSecOps process. Starts with planning, writing issues, create, which is your version control, standard Git functionality, verify, which is our CI/CD, package, release, configure, protect, and monitor. Throughout this process, we have our stage of secure, and we believe at GitLab that throughout the software development process, you want to be securing your software, whether it's the way that the software is designed or the secure coding principles, testing it, or monitoring that. So within Secure, we have a variety of different tools and technologies that we build. Everything from our SaaS tool and secret detection to dependency scanning to DAST. So what DAST is once a user has written some software and checks that into their code base, either on a branch or creates a merge request on that, that software would get pushed up to a staging site, or if you're using GitLab's functionality, we have review apps. So it takes that software, pushes it up to a staging site. The DAST tool is a separate engine, and what it does is it takes a URL as an input, and it goes and looks at that website. And it looks at that website by crawling that website like a standard web robot would. So it's going to crawl that website, and it's going to do two things. It's going to do passive checks, and it's going to do active checks. So the passive checks are things like it's going to look at headers, it's going to look at information disclosure, it's going to look for vulnerabilities that are just kind of out there in the open, things that are just not correct, or potential problems with the website. So it's not going to touch the website other than just crawling it. The second thing that DAST is going to do, which is a little bit more complicated, is it's going to look at any of the forms, any of the query strings, any of the headers, and look at the values that the website is expecting. And then DAST is going to try to be malicious about it. And it's going to submit malicious payloads as part of those forms, or malicious query strings to the website. So that payload might include SQL injection attacks, or malformed XML, or command injection attacks. And it's going to send in this bad data to the web server in hopes that the server is going to do some unexpected behavior, crash, or send back data that the server generally shouldn't be. So that's our DAST tool. Now, the DAST tool is written in the browser, and the crawler is written using Go. It sends any of the vulnerability data over to some Python scripts that we've written. And then all of that data goes back into GitLab, goes back into our monolith here in Ruby on Rails. So we're looking for people that can work in any of those languages. In particular, this role is really focused on getting that data over into the monolith and a lot of the work in Rails. So that's DAST. One of the things that as you're preparing for your interview, a lot of candidates say, hey, GitLab's open, is extremely transparent. There's a lot of information to look at. What should I look at? From my perspective, I think there's two things to really understand GitLab and what we're looking for. And the first is our values page. And I would take an opportunity to read through the credit values and what's important to us, and think a little bit about your career and the places that you've been previously, and how some of the work that you've done lends itself to some of these values. So, examples of collaboration that you've done in the past, or diversity and inclusion initiatives that you've been part of, or iteration or transparency, or any of these particular values. Think about these values in your career and how those line up. The other page that I think is really important for candidates to understand and really gets to the heart of GitLab and working remote is our communication page. In particular, I like the asynchronous communication because that's fairly unique to GitLab and a couple of remote companies. But this entire communication page, everything from the way that we do code reviews to not using acronyms and things of that sort, this is a really great page to read and gives you a lot of ideas of the culture at GitLab. So what's life like at GitLab as an engineer? So one of the things that's great is if you read the asynchronous communication, that'll also kind of define and help you understand what your day-to-day is going to be like. But as an engineer, your time is yours to manage. There's no one looking over your shoulder on a daily basis. There's typically three things that you're going to work on a daily basis. The first is writing code. So you'll have issues that are assigned to you, and you'll be writing code to address those issues, whether they be bugs or features or tech debt or what have you. The second is going to be reviewing code. So all of our code goes through a very rigorous code review process. So your teammates are going to send you code that they've written and vice versa. And you'll take a look at their code and give them good feedback on that code, whether it be security issues or whether it be coding conventions or performance or convention or what have you. You'll be providing them a bit of feedback, and that takes a bit of your day. And then the third is just working on issues. So if there's a new feature or bug or a new conversation happening about a particular thing that gets added to the software, you'd be expected to, write your thoughts, write implementation plans, write questions, things of that sort, maybe provide feedback to designers, but just generally get involved in the software development process and provide that feedback in our issues. So that's it. Most of that is for you to manage throughout your day, doing in whatever order makes most sense and is most efficient for you. In terms of your week, there's really not a lot of demands on your time from a meeting perspective. You'll have a meeting with a manager, myself, typically half an hour to an hour every week. And then we have a team meeting, which is about half an hour. And then we have a team meeting for our entire section, everyone in Secure, which is also about half an hour once a week. So at most, it's maybe 2 hours of meetings. But what's really nice is, getting back to that communication page that I just highlighted, is we work asynchronously, which means ahead of the meetings, there'll be a Google Doc that outlines the agenda and people's points and things that they want to talk about. During the real-time meeting, that meeting will be recorded and it's shared on a Google Drive, and a lot of those get uploaded to YouTube. And then during that meeting, that Google Doc also gets filled out with any of the notes. So if you're not able to meet at those times because of your time zone or you're busy, no problem. You can catch up on all of that. And then again, because of GitLab's transparency, you can look on the Google Drive and find meetings from all over the company. So whether it be finance or whether it be UX or whether it be the E group or any of the departments within GitLab, you can go onto the Google Drive and then on the shared calendars, and you can take a look at what's going on throughout the company and see what meetings you might be interested in seeing. So that's typical life at GitLab. Yeah, thanks again for your interest in this position, and I look forward to hearing from you.